Hello my fellow nations, and welcome to my daily debrief of days 12 and 13. I completely forgot to do this yesterday. My bad. I don't know what happened. I told myself to do it and then I forgot to do it, so I'm sorry. Today I will talk about what happened yesterday as well as today, and we shall start with the drawings. I think this was yesterday. And this was... And then today, I did this. And this one. And this one. So those were my drawings from the past 2 days. They're not even drawings, they're just quotes. And then I color around them. Yesterday, we talked about radical acceptance. And that's essentially what I've decided to do this year. Does it give me a definition? Let's see what I wrote down. And one of these days I'll be organized. Today is not that day. Here are my notes on radical acceptance. Pain is a part of the human existence. Suffering is when you don't accept that pain. I've got to work with this is acceptance. Pain is an experience. Suffering can be your perception of that pain. Just because you're in pain doesn't mean you have to suffer. I can get on board with this experience, even if I don't like it. Work with it instead of fighting against it. Acceptance brings us into the pain. We don't accept things because we don't want them to be true or real. You can be ticked off and sad, but given that, do what you need to do to survive. If there's a back and forth in your head, that's progress, because at least there's a fourth. So with radical acceptance, you can hate the situation you're in. I hate that I have this thing that's wrong with my brain that makes me depressed and anxious, and I can't change the fact that I'm lacking neurotransmitters. I can't change the fact that I'm lacking serotonin or norepinephrine. There's a chemical imbalance in my brain. There's not much I can do about it. I can go to therapy and I can take meds, but ultimately you have to change your brain to change your life, and you can't always change your brain. But with the right attitude, no, that's not even it. You can be ticked off, but do you want to live like that? You have to decide how you want to live, and that stinks. Yes, your situation stinks, you don't like the people around you, you don't like where you are, but that doesn't mean that you have to be unhappy. You can be unhappy, you have every right to be unhappy, but if you don't want to be unhappy, you will be. The situation calls for it. But there can be little moments of joy, and you have to hang on to those little moments of joy, because that's the progress. That's in the back and forth, that's the fourth. And then you hold on to those little pieces, and eventually they come together and they make a bigger piece. And it's just one step at a time. Today was Interpersonal Effectiveness Day, and I didn't really understand it, to be honest. I wrote a letter to Jonathan during classroom time. In my notes, I wrote, we can talk ourselves out because it's uncomfortable. We should be direct without being loud about it. Thank you for your patience is better than I'm sorry for wasting your time. Don't just panic. Be truthful when you're asking for what you need. And this goes along with the whole use I statements, not you statements. So you should say how a situation makes you feel, not necessarily, you did this wrong. You should say, I feel this way when you do this. Because of that, I think it would help me if, stuff like that. And Where was I going? My train of thought just hasn't been here. I'm kind of confused because the past 2 days were alright. And I don't know if it's just that I'm used to things not being alright, but when I started this program, people would talk and say, oh, I'm feeling so much better by the end of their time. And it's not that I'm feeling so much better, it's that I'm kind of just numbing out, and it might be because my depression's kind of been not chilling recently. Sometimes it comes in waves, and I guess this wave is crashing right now. I don't know. Tomorrow's my last day. And would I say that the experience was worth it? I suppose, because you don't know if something's going to work until you try it. I've never done group therapy before. I've never done a partial hospitalization program where I was with people for 5.5 hours a day working on therapy things. I've never done something like this. And I think it's a good thing that I have done it. I call it anxiety school because it gives me a lot of anxiety, but it's also about anxiety. Not just anxiety. There's people there who are struggling with addiction. There are people there who are struggling with depression. There are people there who are struggling with anger, with anxiety, with suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation. There's a whole bucket full of people. And we're all just trying to live our lives, and sometimes you just have to remember that everybody's human. Everybody's going through something. We're all there because we're all dug ourselves into holes, or the earth just opened up before us and created a sinkhole, and now we're down there and we're trying to climb out. Whether we made it ourselves or we didn't, that's where we are. And there are people coming in and people discharging basically every day. And tomorrow I'm going to be one of the people discharging. So will I look back and say, oh, that was a good experience? Not necessarily. Especially because I still believe that, and maybe it's just going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy if I think this, but I feel like when I go back to school, I'm going to be just as anxious. I get anxious walking down the hall when I pass my friend's room, which is every time that I go to use the bathroom, every time I go to shower, every time I go to brush my teeth, I have to pass the room. And I'm always terrified. I always look to see if it's open a crack, because then I know they might be in the bathroom too, and that terrifies me, and it shouldn't terrify me because they're supposed to be my friends. I should be able to talk to them, but it scares me so much because ever since I left school for 2 weeks, I feel like it hasn't been the same. And with some of my friends, we picked up right where we left off, but with some of my other friends, it just feels like we haven't. And I don't know if they feel that way or if it's just me. And sure, if it's just me, I'm supposed to go and speak out about it because you're supposed to say what you need and what you want from others because they're not mind readers. I don't know. This is trailing off. A discharge tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I am making videos about mental health this year as well as chronic illnesses. I make some music covers as well as vlog type things. So if you are new here, please consider subscribing, and you can look back at the playlist that I made for this partial hospitalization program. As always, thanks for watching. Wow, that was awful.